There I am. Do I say okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hi, Mary.
Got it?
Hey, Bob.
All right, I had a real problem getting on because even though they sent you a link and they sent me the link for everybody in general, they never sent one for me. And then Katya usually does that, and Carly didn't know. So.
And to invest in the
Ay,
future
ay, 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 ay.
opportunities with constituents
How are you
that
guys?
may be future customers or current customers. So yes, let's definitely think about it that way. All right, I want to talk
I'm good.
about,
I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be on mute for 30 minutes and then I'm gonna come off of mute, okay? But I'm
Okay.
here. I'm listening to everything.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm also here, but trying to get some food in my belly. So I will pop on when I'm done chewing.
Well, yeah, I know. I just got a call from Dana saying that he didn't get the link from Carly, and I asked you guys yesterday, right? Day before.
It's under your name. It's from Robert Bonsbach.
I hate to say this, but where do I find that? Do you know?
And
He also can just come to the regular link and then you can promote him.
Yeah, I know. But now, in order to do that, I have to go back. I have to find it. It's oh my gosh. The one that went out to the general session, right?
yeah, do you know his email? Maybe I can forward my invite.
Yeah, could you? I'd appreciate that. I do have it. Yes.
You're not supposed to, because then number one, it calls him Mary Kenny, and I think they also take attendance that way.
What's that?
Who's they?
The city? I'm not positive. When I've used individual links on Zoom in the past, it was a way of taking attendance.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. If I
got it. D-Man22.
That's it. Thank you.
If the city wants to slap my wrist for doing that, let them.
They're not gonna do it.
I didn't think they would.
So, Mary, how you been?
Hanging in there. Counting down the days.
All right, so Matt, Becca, and Damon are not on speaker, so I assume they'll be back.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I just have a really bad sore throat, so I'm not really going to be talking.
Yeah, I know. That's great.
I'm just trying to get some dinner.
Good. Did you bring enough for all of us?
If you want to come over to my house, you could probably make it work.
What are we eating?
It is leftover Chinese chicken.
Huh? I like it.
From where?
From Szechuan Gourmet.
Nice. My sister-in-law is Taiwanese and swears by that place. So she says she would know.
I think she would.
So I got laid off last Tuesday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, my company's main clients are federal agencies,
Oh my gosh.
and they've been stopping our projects left and right.
I'm
Two more
sorry.
new ones canceled yesterday afternoon. Yeah, so I got to figure out where to go next year.
What do you do again?
Um, Programming, data stuff, some AI stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, was doing sort of product management near the end there.
Sorry.
Yep.
Text message that Mary that you were sending it to Dame to Dana.
Dana. I
Yeah,
did.
I'm in, Bob. Thank you, Mary. Thanks, Mary. I'm in.
Great.
Okay, so we all here. I think that is ready to be here.
Yep.
Okay. Well, with that, Matty, are you here still?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I'm gonna be off mic and off video, but I'm very much here.
Okay, I was just gonna say, should we take a roll call of officers to get ready?
Sure.
And Chairman Anspach here, Vice Chair Dana's here, Clerk is Matt is here, Mary Kenny's here.
Yep.
Becca's here. Damone's here. And I think that about wraps that up. Is it not?
Greg's not on. Bob.
No.
Yes, he is. He's in
Oh,
the
he is?
attendees.
He's
Mr.
in the
Hayes.
All right, let me see. All right, let's see. How do I get to the attendees here? Let's see. Participants is 7.
Yeah, and then on the right, there's a little thing that says
Yeah.
attendees 1.
Yeah, I see it. I'm trying to get them. Greg, are you here? Can you unmute yourself?
I see someone named Frank Wood in the attendees. I don't see anyone named Greg. Hi, Frank.
I thought that's what Dana said was Frank. My mistake if I misheard.
So, Frank, are you here?
He might not have permission to speak.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that works.
I see it keep going on and off. Okay, well, Frank wants to come on. We'll get him on.
If you're trying to get Frank on, I think you have to promote him to panelist.
I am literally trying to do that, and
Ah,
Maybe Frank just wants to speak on an issue tonight.
yeah. I can't. Hmm. I think this is the guy, Fred. Well, Fred Stratman has been invited, if that's him. Oh, he declined. That wasn't him. All right, well. All right, so let's get going. We'll see. I'm sorry if that's Fred and I can't get him on. Anyway, I said we'd start. The first thing was just to go over real quick the DEI forum that was put on by Greater Framingham Community Church the other day. And I'll tell you, first of all, I was just impressed with the number of people that were there. It was really very crowded, well attended. They had food provided for everybody. They opened up the meeting with just a general introduction, and everybody greeted each other, so to speak. And then they had food laid out, and everybody went up, and it was a buffet style meal, and everybody got their food as they wanted, and very good food, very delicious, and it was nice, very, very nice. But then the meeting started, and they had 4 panelists, and each of them got a chance to speak. The superintendent of schools started it, and then it was followed up by the legal services with Betsy Soule, and then 2 others that were there. And they were quite good. The panelists were very good. They very knowledgeable, very forthright, talking about the issue of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what happened was, as at the end of it all, at the end of their presentations, there was a chance for some questions and answers from the audience if they wanted to say some. And some raised some questions, and it was stimulating. But then at the last portion of it, because they each person had X number of minutes to talk, and then they had this little bit of question and answers, and then they had what they call table discussion. And the table discussion had all of us sitting at a table. We were sitting at various size tables, straight length tables, and a series of questions were presented to everyone at the tables. They were all the same questions in each of the tables, and we were just supposed to overview them, see the questions, and respond to them. And some of them were particulars. I mean, how do we ensure that equity is not just a conversation, but a deeply integrated part of policies and practices. Then another one, how do we move from talking about equity and embedding it in community policies, and a series of other questions. And Becca, I could probably offer them to you at some point if you wanted to see them. But it was good. It was a good session, and very timely. It started at 12. We ate, panelists talk, questions, and then a meeting with everybody at the table, and it ended in 2 hours. 2 o'clock, we were gone. It was as simple as that. Some people hung around, others left to go back to work or whatever they had to do, because they ran from 12 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday. So, but it was very nicely done, and I commended Reverend Lloyd for organizing it. There were no disruptions, no one else out there. It seemed like everybody was on the same page, basically. So it was good. I just want to tell you that, and it was open to people, and so I think we got most of them represented organizations or activities that were linked to this discussion of diversity, and so from that vantage point, they're all like minds. They all had the same kind of common goal, and it seemed as if, unfortunately, it was just a very large choir, that was there. So so everybody was discussing it and preaching to the choir. So, but it was good, very, very good.
Do
Now,
you know how it was advertised?
I was
I'm
just
sorry?
gonna ask that.
Do you know how it was advertised?
Well, it was basically done by a letter that went out from Reverend Lloyd, and then there is this flyer that was out there. That now how they put this out there, I'm not particularly sure, but I can show you the sort of the format it was. This is what they presented and invited people this way. And I can give you the copy of this too, certainly. And yeah, so what does it say? Lunch will be provided, as it said. So
I suspect that was a large part of why so many people attended. Not like, I don't know anyone, but yeah, lunch being provided is a big deal. Do you know what day of the week it was?
It was a Tuesday.
Tuesday at noon.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Now I did, just for the benefit of the questions that came up from Mary and Becca and you, Matt, with regard to subcommittees and their meetings. I had a somewhat lengthy and frustrating discussion with Nicole over this idea, and apparently she has fought the interpretation, and I appreciated that. But unfortunately, the interpretation that she presented is that yes, you're right, that it does have to go as a public meeting. If the subcommittee is meeting, they do have to send it into the clerk, and they do have to post a Zoom contact, if that be the case. She said, but that has never been done before, and that's why it's gotten some people kind of fouled up in this process. But she did say it's a little different if you just happen to all be going to the same coffee shop and you sit down and talk about it. There's only three. I said, there's only three. It's not as a quorum. And I said, and they're discussing the format of a program that we would like to put on, and they would be presenting it at the meeting for the general public and ourselves to participate in discussing. So she said, well, nobody's ever challenged it. Let's just put it that way. So, but she said for the record, though, yeah, it is supposed to be published if they have a formal meeting.
So you said we need to send in a message to the city clerk saying
That's right.
we're planning on having it, and it needs to be after 7 o'clock or later, right? Isn't that a part of it too?
It has to be. You have to notify them 48 hours in advance.
Yeah, there's
And
no time, I don't think, Matt.
Okay, I had heard. Okay, cool. So so if we, as long as we send a message to the clerk 48 hours in advance, or it needs to be posted 48 hours in advance.
yeah, that has to be, it has to be posted 48 hours in advance.
So we
Yes.
probably need to send it more than 48 hours in advance to the clerk. And I
Yeah.
assume we have to just give a very brief description of what's going to be discussed for that.
Right. Exactly. You
Okay.
know, and it's and it's, I think she also added to it, uh, yeah, that you could have the meeting you don't have to have it as a formal meeting in a sense where people are watching it to us. I mean, that's the question that I had. I think you're leaning towards that, Matt. If you had to say you had it at the Costin room in the library, the three of you got together at the Costin room. Well, you can say that the meeting is in the Costin room and it doesn't, is no link or anything of that nature so that it's shown. So I think there's no reason for a link as if they're Zoom participants. There's just a matter of saying when in the meeting is being held and where it's being held. And if people show up, they show up. You know,
So as a working subgroup, we have
I'm
to
sorry.
go through, if we're just a working subgroup, we have to go through all that. We're not a committee.
Yeah, if the subgroup is meeting, the way
Okay.
the interpretation came across is they have to announce that they're going to have the meeting, send it into the clerk so they can post that the meeting is going to be held and where it's going to be held and when it's going to be held. There doesn't have to be any Zoom. There's no formal uh, achieving of that nature. But if it's just a matter of informing the public that this meeting is taking place, and if they want to come in and put their 2 cents in, they'd be available, you know.
But if we are having it on Zoom, I assume we have to post the link, right?
I'm sorry? We
If
don't
we are
know.
having it on Zoom, I assume we have to post the link.
Oh, there's no link then. Yeah, that's right. There's no link.
No, I'm saying like if we do have it on Zoom, you're saying we don't need a link even if we do it on Zoom. We just need to say that it's happening.
Can I? Why would you have it? Oh, is it just between the three of you? You mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. That's an excellent question. I can follow that up with Nicole, because I think she said you don't have to publicize it in the light of the fact that they can join or come into the meeting that way. I think it just has to be notification that the meeting is going to occur, and there's no link that they'd have to work on. I think what she's talking about is that you guys would get together, as I use as the example, the Costin room in the library, and that's all, and that's where you'd be meeting. And in other words, yeah, it's a matter of saying that the three of you are together in one spot, someplace, wherever that location would be. So it's not as easy as if you're just three friends going on Facebook, you know? That's what I get. That's how I interpret it.
Maybe we could have her come to one of our meetings and walk through what an open meeting law entails.
Yeah, I
So
would
we're all
appreciate that.
together.
Yeah. She also offered that if we had this, what we could do is at a regular meeting such as this, for example, we could hold off the meeting for a half hour or whatever it is to allow the three of you to get together and talk about this format, and then come back to a meeting and make the presentation. So I said it just seems, I did argue on the point of, I think where all you guys would be coming from. I argued on the idea. I said, this is kind of absurd. I said, you're asking a subcommittee to come together and plan an event and to send them so that they can gather information. Like if you're going to have speakers, who would the speakers be? You need time to contact those speakers to see if they'd be willing to do it. I said there'd be things about when would we hold this? Where would we hold this? That stuff normally has to be captured at different intervals of time. I said you can't expect them just to come to a meeting, have three people, and expect them to have all the answers to the questions that they'd raise. I said it's just not unfair. She said, "Oh, I know," and but she said I'm just pointing out what the guidelines are supposed to be. So
So-
I don't think this is a new thing for everybody, apparently. So,
So I'm new to this, so I'm gonna ask a question and just to understand. So what would be the difference between a subcommittee versus just a working group?
yeah, you're right. I just, I think, I don't know whether there's allowances for a working group if it's from the same group. I mean, we're the Human Relations Commission, 3 commissioners just getting together to talk about things. Yeah, you could do that. Of course, there's nothing that apparently prevents us from communicating with each other to talk about things even outside the meeting. But there has to be an understanding that no decisions can be made independent of the meeting, on any given topic.
So to me, number one of the things that's been frustrating is like the variety of lawyers' interpretation. So I was on a state commission for like 4 years, and their interpretation was quite different than Framingham's counsel apparently is. But this came up, and like, if you were a standing committee which had the power to like vote on stuff and make certain decisions, uh you had to follow open meeting law. But in something like this, where it's like, we decided to do this event, we voted on the basic outline in an open meeting, and now a couple of people are just going to go off and like do the logistics and make it happen, that would not count. It would not be a subcommittee. It would just be like, okay, those 3 commissioners are going to go do the thing, and we wouldn't have to go through all this.
Is that the question? I mean, is that
Well, is that not the case here? Is that what you're saying? Because like, we're not a standing subcommittee. Like, people keep saying subcommittee, but it's not actually a subcommittee. It's like Mary said, like a working group of like just to do this thing that we decided we wanted to do, and then goes away. There's no like voting. We're just like deciding on the little logistical details, which is not part of open meeting law.
Well, that's yeah. I think I hear where you're coming from, Becca, but I think what she is suggesting, and that's where they're trying to be certain that arbitrary groups under a blanketed title of commissioners, in this case, could just sit there and make a series of plans and then carry the event through without it ever being made public or being brought before the entire commission. You see?
But we had pre-decided to do the event and voted on it as the commission in an open meeting. So that's not what would be happening.
Well, I think what happened, and I realized this is what happened the last time when the initial plan was to have the meeting on the 6th of March, I think it was 6th of March, right? And
The event was gonna be March 6th, yes.
yeah, the event was going to be March 6th. And you had included in your own maybe your own minds who was going to be on the panel, what kind of panel it was going to be, and what kind of suggestions. That I think the interpretation that my understanding of Nicole is that the group could not arbitrarily do that without getting the full consent of the commission. And in that case, when it went to the commission, that would have to be public meeting, the public
But we
meeting.
did. Like, when the commission voted on it, we talked about who would be on the panel. And everybody was like, yeah, sounds great.
I'm not sure I remembered. I thought that the first meeting when this thing was being presented, it was an idea that we believed would be practical and plausible. And I think that when all of those names or whatever came out as would be possible candidates for the panel, I'm not sure if that fit fully into the category of the committee deciding on their own, or we as a commission decided yes to it all. I think that I thought that if the committee was going to develop a whole plan, then stipulating the date and the time and the event and who would be on it and who would be participating, needed to be brought as an open meeting concept. And I don't think that meeting that we held, that where the idea was coming to fruition, really met the full requirements.
I
you
mean,
know?
in
So-
that meeting, we were like, okay, we were thinking somebody, to come, like a lawyer to come talk about rights, somebody from the police, somebody from the schools. We were thinking, late February, early March. So, like, we didn't have the exact first and last names and like the date, but like the whole concept we did talk about in the open meeting, and everybody was like, yep, sounds great. Great,
Sure.
draft panel.
Can
Yeah.
I, again, as a newbie, what would be the definition of an open meeting? And maybe that would help clarify things a little bit.
Well, say for example, you had X number of people who were going to be on the panel. Okay, in an open meeting, somebody might challenge it on the basis of the fact that it was solely these three people and not enough participation on those, say for example, who were against the DEI. You see, nobody else to make a presentation. That's what an open meeting law would provide, is an avenue for a person to come out and speak on that. And so when we're not doing that, when we're just saying this is what we're going to do, and it's decided that it's sort of vague, that we're out there, a member from the superintendent of schools, a member from the police department, a member from that. We saw that as we went forward on those things, that not only did the police department, but also the mayor was challenging the discussion on the basis of time. He recommended that the time be different. Have it later in April. The police department made it pretty clear that they did not want to be participants in this, and there's that kind of objection that can be raised, and in an open meeting law. But having us just talk about it and coming up with these ideas out there as a thought, this is what we'd like to do, didn't really provide for a people to come up with an alternative opinion, towards the activity itself. That's why, as you see, when Reverend Lloyd held that when he held the forum at his church, he made it very clear that there would be people that would not be able to come into the building, and that because it was on church property. But we have to do it on public property, which means anybody is able to attend, and you leave yourself open to arbitrary decisions. So at the open meeting, you provide people an avenue. That's why we have the link posted for outsiders who want to participate and speak their piece. That's what I think the difference is. Somewhat, I hope I'm clear on that, because I think that's the way they're interpreting the quote subcommittee decision making. There could be people that have alternative points of view.
So then they could have come to our February meeting though and said that. Or January, whichever meeting it was. It was either January or February when we voted to do the thing. They could have come to that and given their alternative point of view.
Yep, good point.
Yeah, I guess that's right. They could have. I mean, it was in the agenda for the meeting that there'd be a discussion on DEI format or forum, and there may have been an opportunity for people to do that. And I say there's an awkwardness in this because we're at an open meeting law right now, and I don't see anybody out there jumping to participate in this discussion that would be in opposition, for example, for a forum of that nature of the DEI. But you're right. Right now, there could possibly be someone out there. We've not had any opposition to anything we've done from the Human Relations Commission for quite some time. So, or at least offer an alternative, somebody that might offer something else to maybe even enrich the program, not necessarily to challenge it. So,
So it sounds like we need the public to be able to step in and offer dissent or their opinions at some point during the process, but maybe not during a subcommission meeting. Maybe like when the subcommission presents the findings and proposal back to the main committee. Like, would that be sufficient?
I think that's exactly right. That I think you people did a lot of legwork to get things organized and get it going. The fact that it was going to occur before another meeting that we all could have our 2 cents put in was a little hasty anyway. But the mayor also made a recommendation that we hold it off. And the location. I think we had talked very generally about how where we would hold the location, and I think we said, is the town hall where we want to hold it? Is that the
But we
place?
said, Bob, we said that in the first meeting we had, but then the second meeting we had about it, we came back and said, because I was the one who said it, and I said, hey, we've heard from X, Y, and Z person as we're, implementing this, that they don't think that we should be in person. And so, our proposal is that we have it solely online. And so like that took place in an open meeting as well, that change.
Yeah, and Becca, that's one of the good things that that both Nicole and Susan suggested, and I thought would have helped us, and that is do it as a webinar, and that way the panelists could be presented as we are here, facial and things like that. The panelists could present what they had to present, but that anybody who was on the webinar would be blocked out. They would not have to show their faces. And therefore, there could be those participants that we might not otherwise get in public, so that's, I think they were willing to help us in that. And Susan was willing to help us in the publicity for it all. And I think the city was very much in favor of us doing something positive that way. So I think all those things came right across because the subcommittee had made it known we want to do something. And in so doing, we got the input from other people, maybe offering us alternative things to do that we were not sure of, even ourselves. If we did this kind of format as an open meeting kind of suggestion, then who knows? Who knows what would happen? And when we wanted to, but the webinar idea seemed to be a rather ingenious approach to whatever you and the committee wanted to do, as an alternative, which is not what we thought of before. At least I don't think so. So that's why I think the open meeting provides input from others that maybe hey, that's great. I like that idea. Can you do this? And so it's just an idea. And it's not to say that it isn't going to happen. You guys put some time and effort into it. And if you can nail down a time that you think you'd like to do it, and we went through the town process of getting a webinar to do it, then we're golden. We're really golden. I think much better than we would have done it otherwise. Much better. As I said, I think Reverend Lloyd's program was excellent, but I don't think that's the way we had thought of doing it ourselves. So that's just the idea. Now, what did you guys actually come up with? Did you come up with specific people that you thought you would have, not just titles? That they could have nailed down as, yeah. I mean, Superintendent Robert was at the Grace Church, but would he want to come out again and do something for ourselves on a webinar? Might be. Maybe that's what you're thinking of. Is there another person out there that you have an alternative?
I mean, Matt talk to some folks, so he can jump in if he has anything. But to be honest, like, number one, I was incommunicado with the whole world for a bit because got really sick. But
Yeah.
then in the rest of the month, it's mostly been dealing with this sort of thing of like, oh, should we meet? Oh, we can't meet. Wait, I thought we could meet. No, we can't meet. Oh, so and so said they don't want to do this. Then the mayor wants this. Can we meet to talk about those questions? We don't know. Rather than actually like doing anything, which has been quite frustrating.
Yeah, so sounds like now we can maybe get around that problem. I mean, I still feel a little uncomfortable about this because the interpretation that Becca's describing is pretty different from Nicole's, and like Nicole is, with Framingham. So like, yeah, I really think we need to pin this down tonight, or like I really don't want to have to wait another month to get Nicole on here to tell us what we need to do here because it for me at least it left me paralyzed. Um, because I just felt like we couldn't press forward or make decisions or anything because it wasn't clear what the rules were.
Well, I think, Matt, you've got a sense of what appears to be the correct interpretation. That is, if the three of you wanted to talk about specifics, wanted to talk about putting on a webinar, for example, if that's the way we might go. If you guys wanted to have the panelists prepare for a certain date, you can do that and just designate in a time and a place that you're going to be talking about that. It just seems to me, and that isn't difficult. I don't think. In compliance with the way they want to interpret what we would do. And then come back into the meeting. I know we're talking April already. Coming back in April and saying, okay, this is what we've all come up with and decided, and this is what we'd like to do for such and such a date. I think that's it. And if it's a webinar, obviously it has to get the rest of the city, those personnel who said they would help us in developing a webinar. That would be perfect. I think that would fit right in the plans that you guys had made. I think it was a great suggestion myself that I don't think we afforded ourselves at the last meeting.
And are you
So,
saying that we need to, you said set a time and a place, or do we also need to message the city clerk at that point?
right. Just the time and the place, We're meeting at the Costin Room in the library.
Okay,
Yeah.
because a few minutes ago when I described it, you were saying, no, we didn't need to do that because
No, we didn't need
as
to
long
do a
as we
Zoom.
made-
We didn't have to do a Zoom mention of it. We just needed to know a time and a place that we would be meeting to talk about this plan.
Okay.
And yeah.
So
Did
if
you
we
guys
just-
have a, sorry, Mary.
oh,
go ahead.
so if we chat by Zoom, we don't have to publicize that?
Well, there again, that's Mary, you got a great question. Because I think if you put it on Zoom, then you'd have to publicize the link.
But
You
you
see?
just said 10 minutes ago that we didn't have to publicize the link if we did Zoom.
He's saying we don't have to have a Zoom,
That's right.
like at all.
We don't have to have a
Okay.
Zoom, and you don't have to publicize the link.
But I had
But
said
you-
if we did have a Zoom, did we need to give a link? And he said no.
Well,
I mean,
you don't have a link.
What's the difference between meeting by Zoom or meeting in the library? We're still
Yeah.
meeting.
I mean, yeah, both like clearly needs a way for the people to be able to access it. So yeah, it would make sense to have a link, but that's why I had asked about that. And
Yeah, that's
Okay.
and that's I think that's where I'm getting confused. If you guys just were going to meet and just wanted to make it convenient for yourselves to go on Zoom, you'd have to publicize a link. Yes, you would. And but at the same time, if you're just getting together at a room and the three of you were going to come out then you wouldn't need a link. You just need a place and a location.
Okay, so we email, we decide, hey, we want to meet on this day. We send a message to the clerk more than 48 hours before so that the city clerk can publish it 48 hours before. If we choose to go with the Zoom, then we need to make sure to give them the link to it so it can be published. If we don't
Right.
Zoom, we don't need to give a link. We just say where it's happening. Is that
Yeah.
Correct.
okay? I feel much better about this now, and I can condense everything down then.
You sound really good too, Matt, by the way.
Thank you. I have a low jazz radio voice right now, which is kind of fun, but
Yeah.
hurts my throat a lot.
I'm gonna say, Matt, you're doing a lot more talking than you thought you would.
Yeah, I was really not planning on it, but that's good. I have an interview tomorrow morning at 9:30 that I was really freaking out about. So I guess I'm in a good enough state, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, does this all sit well, Becca in particular? You were like the chairperson of sorts.
I mean, I understand what it is you're saying. I continue to be frustrated by the whole thing, but
Right.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think the way things have gone, everything in this, there are a lot of people who share your frustration, as I did myself on the phone with Nicole. It seems to defeat the whole idea about having people get out representing your organization and doing work. You know, it makes them say, "I'm not going to get involved in this." And even as Matt is implying, he didn't say it, but for the three of you, would be easier to be on a Zoom link to just do it, as opposed to saying, "All right, let's go meet at Joe's coffee shop." You know, you like to do that, do something of that nature, or let's go to your house, Becca, and we can have some of that Chinese food. That'd be what you could do, you know. But yeah, it's you know. But when you are meeting as a group representing the bigger organization, there has to be some compliance with a open meeting law. And as frustrating as that is, at least I find it frustrating, and I'm sure you do.
In that case, it would be great for us to use a few minutes during this meeting to choose like when the subcommittee is going to be meeting next, and so we can get out a message to the city clerk ASAP.
Right, that'd be fine. Or even as I offered the idea that if you guys thought you could establish it and get together a half hour before this meeting, then that's your prerogative. You could do that, you know.
Yeah,
meeting is-
I just once a month really isn't gonna cut it for getting this thing done. I think we really need to meet a little more frequently than that.
Yeah.
Would you guys think of having the actual seminar at the Costin Room live? Is that something that might work? Because that would be an amazing event.
When we've spoken to a number of people who said, including, Reverend Lloyd had concerns and the mayor's office was very hesitant. They don't want us to do it in person. Not only because there's been difficulty in getting the community to come out in person because they are scared, but also the potential that something might happen and we have put them in danger by bringing them all together like that. So no, I think that was discarded.
We can't live in fear, unfortunately, and I think we'd get a huge turnout.
But I mean, it's easy for like a white man to say that.
Well, I'm not an illegal immigrant either, and I don't think we're going to get, I think we're going to get such a mixed crowd that it would be really beneficial to the city and to our residents to see us out in person or everyone out in person.
I'm very uncomfortable with that. I don't know if you saw the Alien Enemies Act. Apparently, Trump and the administration are looking into maybe making use of that starting tomorrow. There's been
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really endangering folks, and they're just not going to show up.
Yeah. I agree, Matt. Okay. Now, do you guys, are you, Becca, are you, Mary, Matt, are you guys still willing to do this plan on it? Take some time to do it?
I'd really like to, and I think we should get moving on ASAP now that we got the rules ironed out here.
And Nicole said she would meet with you guys, if you wanted to go over the webinar business and talk to her how it could be formatted. So, I mean, she's open and receptive. Sue's open and receptive to publicizing it. You asked that about the flyer that Reverend Lloyd had. That could enrich whatever you chose to do, and then you'd be getting firsthand what the open meeting law is all about, But if you
I think if
wanted
Matt's into it and he's willing to like pick a time, I would show up and I would contribute and help. But
okay,
I'm happy to do that. I was thinking, I think Sunday is the earliest we can do if we have to do the 48 hours thing.
that's great.
I'm
That's great.
available for whatever works. I'll make myself ready. I'm right here.
Awesome.
I'm here to enrich the board.
I'm not
Like
available.
Bob said.
Yeah. So all right. So Matt and Mary and Becca, can you guys coordinate a time together? And if you want, I offer to get Nicole maybe involved. Maybe meet at their office. Maybe meet at her office, and go through it all with them right then and there. That'd be another option. I think that's available. She could provide the resources, and you can move on from there and get the people that you want on the panel. That sound all right, Matt? Mary?
Yep. That sounds good.
Okay. Whew. So anyway, we might plan a date sometime in April. Is that what we're thinking? That's adequate time beyond the previous one that Reverend Lloyd put on, and maybe structured differently. It might generate more involvement. So
Sadly, we can't do free food if it's a webinar.
well, I imagine you could do it. I'm sure that again, I defer to Nicole as she offered a webinar to figure out how fast it can be done. It's I don't know what it entails in doing a webinar. But yeah, just contact Nicole at her office and say, okay, we'd like to do this, and we'd like to do it this fashion. What do we have to do from here? And I'm sure she'll give you more great assistance. And then once you've developed it all, you can get the publicity from Sue, who would put it on the that the news thing that I've told you all about. And some of you were on it. That comes out every Sunday night. Could list it right in there as one means of promoting it. So, but I think she'd give you a lot of resources. Okay. All right. And the second thing is if we've moved on this one, and that's great. And again, Mary, Becca, Matt, I thank you for all the efforts you've already put in and the frustration you're experiencing tonight and sharing with us. Trust me, as I think about this down the line, I share your frustration. But then we said, I've suggested as a part of the agenda, is there anything else that we should be focusing on, that for a future possible seminar or another webinar in some other area that we could do in highlighting that for the community? The idea that somebody just mentioned that some friend of theirs works for the board that's already been dismantled, and what do we do about that? what do we do about the newfound, they're not homeless people yet, but what do we do about what's going on in the community with regards to people who are being laid off from jobs?
Mm,
You know,
great point.
there's not that we can do anything to handle that, but some sort of a program that nobody's picked up on yet to address. How do these people find means who are living paycheck to paycheck and suddenly find they have no job?
Yeah. Just even saying something about it is good. That's a really good point, Bob.
The library's doing a lot of free stuff around resumes and job hunting and everything.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of seminar we could put on, or webinar that we could put on. The resources that are available for those who are trying to find new jobs, new work. What do you do? And I think there's probably some call for that. I'm not saying that there aren't places already out there doing things to help people, but we can publicize that if that's what it is. Just making it known to people in general so that they have a resource to go to.
Because people don't know.
Yeah. Now I'm just offering that as one thing because I think we're facing, what's happening has been very frustrating for a lot of people, and I think there are ways that we can help people to cope or help them in finding at least a reliable resources. And we have the workforce to do it, and we've got the, if you will, the position to do it in the community. So it would be a good thing for us to address.
Bob, I'd be willing to reach out to the Department of Labor and the city, labor personnel and just see what resources they're currently offering, to those that have been laid off, and maybe
Okay.
report that at the next meeting.
That'd be great. Thank you, Dana. Anybody else have a topic of some sort? I'm just tossing that one out, but I think it might be workable. Have we heard anything about some sort of prejudice or discrimination going on in the community? Has anybody had the ear to the surface of the ground to see what's going on?
Bob's buddy. I think that's a touchy one there, Bob.
What's that?
Because you see, I said that's a touchy one there. But you see it all the time. But what are you gonna do about it?
Right.
Hey,
Right.
Damon,
Yes.
do you mind updating us on, you're killing it with We Believe, man, and I believe.
Thank you, man. No, there's a lot of
can you
social
update-
injustices, but I don't know where to begin. It's tough, that's why I believe it's existing. That's part of the whole package. There's not enough going on for the minorities in town. That. It's not a lot of programs going on.
You guys are doing a phenomenal job, by the way. I'm following everything you're doing.
Thank you, man.
I'll be at the next event.
Can you tell me about
that's the
some of
firefighter. That's the firefighter police event.
Correct.
Yep.
So one thing we can maybe possibly think about for future is the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination does trainings.
Yeah, let's do a workshop. Great idea.
They might
That
be
was such a great idea,
something.
Mary. Let's do a workshop. Maybe we could teach the people how to be better. That'd be awesome. Could do it as a fundraiser too.
Well, the purpose is to make sure people know and understand their rights and obligations under the anti-discrimination laws.
But you know what?
Massachusetts.
Not to cut you off. I don't even think people know. I think what I'm like kind of seeing is that Framingham has just always been Framingham, and now it's a city, so it hasn't caught up to the growth yet. So education is probably the best way. We can't, that's what I would honestly say. We can't say, like, label it, but we can talk about it and educate. Because I really believe there's a lot of social injustices going on, because I've experienced a lot of them. And I don't think people know. So I think that's what we should do. That right there, educate. That'll be a great plight for us as a board. There you go.
Yep, second that.
Yep. I made a contribution, Bob. You pulled something out of me, Bob. You
There you
knew
go,
it was in me,
Damon.
Bob.
That's
You
it.
knew it was in me, Bob. You know my buddy Bob. Yeah.
From downtown.
Bob saying the best for that. Yeah, he wouldn't let me off the hook. And Mary, you popped the 3 with that one, Mary. Let's get with them people and let's try to educate them. Let's go around with that. Because I think that's what's needed. That's definitely what's needed.
Their trainings are held by Zoom or on
Even
Zoom.
better.
So, the thing with the Zoom, the commission does require everyone to have their cameras on. But it's just more of a learning. We're not talking about something as sensitive as immigration. So, but it's a thought.
Well, we can start there. I mean, we can come up with our own workshop too, and then promote it around town. I mean, we can, if they want to assist with some materials and stuff, that'll be cool.
Exactly.
Run it. We can run our own meeting.
Yep.
I want to do a workshop, but I think we got to promote it around town, and let's just get the word out and let people know that, this is how you deal with things, and just raise awareness.
Well, you gotta be careful with that because you're talking a lot of legal things. So you want to make sure you have a trained presenter.
Absolutely. Is that you, Mary?
Yeah, that's why we got you, Mary.
Yeah, is that you, Mary? Come on, Mary. You sound like you sound good to me.
We could get the city to pay you too, Mary.
Yeah, right.
Damon and Mary, since you're the ones that are intimately involved in this conversation, is there an idea in your head as to find out, for example, what have the police done as far as the training is concerned?
Yep.
Is that something that was brought to their attention a while back when so many police were being challenged on the abuse of power? What kind of specifics that could be very enlightening to people that are being done already, even if they're not practiced? We don't know that, but is there a group that's out there in the idea of educating police officers in their training sessions with regards to handling of this kind of situation? And it's not only a situation of color, it's been a situation of dealing with people who have mental illness. There's a variety of areas that are now blossoming around when we hear about the abuse of power, because of different ailments that people have, or I'm sorry to use the word ailment, but so there's something that needs to be addressed, and we ought to need to bring it to the limelight.
Yeah, I could do that training. I wonder if they would pay me to do that training. That sounds like something I can do.
Yeah, you might be able to, right?
Yeah.
Mary, what are your legal concerns around, like, not having a person who's had a certain specific training run one of these? Like, it's not clear
We're
to me.
talking about discrimination law, so you don't want to be misquoting law, and you got to be accurate with it. I mean, even HR, if you're having to do required sexual harassment trainings, for example, you have to be qualified to do it. Not like any trainer can just stand up and do it. States have certain expectations and requirements.
So maybe we get someone who understands that side, but also, like, Damon could get a chance to talk about the various injustices that he sees around the community, like anecdotal firsthand, maybe some sort of hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just throwing out like, I don't even know if it costs anything with the MCAD. I don't know. I just know that they do trainings, but I don't know.
I get what
there's
you're
a
saying,
lot of-
Matt. That firsthand experience is the best one.
Exactly.
I know. Like, yeah, it goes a long way. It's gonna get out there anyway. So, like I said, I mean, I think they would want to learn from me because I got it firsthand. But either way, I mean, I don't think you need a certificate or anything to teach it. I get what Matt's saying. I get what you're saying. But you do want to be right. But your experiences are your experiences. So I don't even think it's a legal issue at that point.
No, no, I'm not. I'm just saying that if you're going to start talking about what the law is, you better make sure you know what the law is.
Yeah, no, I was saying just a better engagement with the community and people of color and the minority people. Because if we all can speak to each other and educate each other on needs and resources and belonging, that's good to know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know, that's the stuff that I want to talk about.
We're not bound legally by, you know, what we say through the commission.
Or what we experienced
Yeah, exactly.
in the community. All we can do is make it better. My thing is I want to leave Framingham better than I found it. And I think that's what I believe is all about. Like, even like I believe we're on this board. We've been on this board before we was big time. So this board is now, you know, I believe we can really make some noise in Framingham and get some stuff done. The right stuff.
Yeah, and we got the backing of, you know, a lot of city
We got
officials.
Bob. We got Bob. We got Bob. We got
Bob,
Big Bad Bob. We got Big Bad Bob. I'm running with Bob.
From downtown.
Yeah. All right, that's great.
Let's get
Damon,
together.
that's a great idea. Those are suggestions. I know Matt's putting them down as suggestions of the areas that we should move on.
Give me a call, Matt. Let's
And-
talk. You got my number, Matt?
You know,
I don't think so.
All right.
and Mary, that's you brought up a very
We'll
good.
put our heads together. Oh, can we talk outside of this or no?
Yeah, you can.
It was still humans, right? It was still humans.
Yep.
Matt, my number is 617, and everybody can take it. 756
Okay,
6919.
great.
Yeah, let's just brainstorm. Pretty sure we can put this together and figure out which direction we want to take it.
Count me in too, Coach D.
Oh, absolutely. You know that.
Are we setting up another subcommittee / standing / open /
Yeah, call it what you want. Make sure
Matt.
you got the
Thanks,
legal
Matt.
term. Make sure you got the legal term.
Mm.
I'm sure we're gonna win this one in court.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a
So,
slam dunk.
Mary, nice job, Mary. That's all right. So that's a good thing to look into. You know, that's two things I guess we can say we're looking
Yeah, we
into.
got two big things done tonight. We're getting somewhere tonight, guys. Good job. I'm excited.
Well,
That's
speaking of
good.
needing to get somewhere, I have my school class starts in
All
10
right,
minutes.
Mary.
So
You have a good night. Thank you.
I need
Take
to
care.
drop off. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Have
Mary.
a good night.
All right, fellas. I
Coach
gotta
Mary.
go too. I gotta go too, man.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Damon.
All right.
Bye.
See you, Dan.
Okay. Anybody else with something else they'd like to bring forward? I know we got some. We got some ideas that we can consider for certainly the next meeting on planning an activity surrounding these two areas. We've got some groundwork that's being done for the DEI program, possibly webinar, and I think that's coming to fruition now. I think it's really getting together. We got some better direction now, and I think I know we got 3 Class C people that are well established and can figure this one out. You know, so that's great. That's great. Mary, Becca, and Matt. It's great. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to bring up?
I just wanted to know what's the name of the city clerk who I need to send the meeting timing to.
It's yeah, I just have it as in my emails addresses. I've just got city clerk City of Friendly, city clerk office. Yeah.
Okay, I can probably find it online.
Lisa Ferguson, Matt.
Say that again.
Lisa Ferguson is our city
Awesome.
clerk.
The name, she is the name of the Lisa. Yeah, right. She is a city. She's the city clerk. Matt, where do you send? Where do you send the minutes of the meeting?
I've just been sending them to you.
Oh, because I don't think I got them in. I don't think I got February's. I thought you were sending them right over to the city clerk's office.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Thanks.
Did we approve February's already, Bob?
I'm sorry.
Did we approve February's meeting minutes?
Well, I didn't see them, so I can't.
Neither did I.
I don't know if anybody else had them.
Yeah, I'll take a look and see where I sent them. I'm pretty sure I sent them somewhere, so I could have sworn I sent them around.
Okay.
Maybe not. And if not, I'll send that around, and like maybe we can approve that via email and then send it.
Yeah.
Sure. That's great.
Do you want me to handle sending them to the city from now on?
Would I like you what?
Do you want me to handle sending them to the city from now on?
Sure. Would you mind? That'd be great.
Yep.
You can mention we need a budget increase too, Matt.
Yeah, we need at least 3 times the current budget.
Sorry, Bob.
Yeah. I know. All right. Anybody else have something they want to mention? On any topic, anything? Well, I wish everybody a happy St. Patty's Day. You know, is
Yep.
everybody Irish on St. Patrick's Day? I don't know.
We'll be over for some green beer, Bob.
Yeah. Okay. I found it interesting, and not that this pertains to us per se, but TD Bank on Franklin Street, next to O'Brien's Liquor Store and the convenience store,
Yep.
over there, is closing June 5th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I wonder with the tariffs that you know, are being proposed are going to affect the alcohol industry quite a bit, they're saying. So who knows? Wow, that's sad. They've been there for, wow, long time.
Yeah. So I looked at it more from the point of view that the sad thing is that will only leave not that it's a bad thing, Santander Bank, but Santander Bank will be the only bank, I think, in this general area, the south side of Framingham, unless you go over to Hartford Street. There's a
Wow.
bank over there, but we will have lost this bank in the south side.
Ooh,
You know.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. They'd have to go to Ashland if they wanted to go to DD Bank. Just
Well,
the whole idea.
is there some discussion we can have on that point, Bob? Like, I know we can't impact them moving, but I mean, that's a big detriment to those living, you know, in the south side that have had that bank for years.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. The community itself is being underserved. That's what's happening, and that's very scary. You know, without understanding the reason why. But when they closed downtown Framingham, if you remember that big, beautiful building that was TD Bank also at one time, that's gone. You've got, what is it, Mutual One over by across from St. Stephen's? Is that Mutual One?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but there again, you know, something happened in the community. And with more apartment buildings going up, you would think that banks would be more flourishing.
Mm.
Okay, does anybody else have something they'd like to suggest? Or bring up?
I'm all set.
Yeah. Becky, you all set? Mary, you all set?
They're not on right
Yeah.
now. They left.
Dana?
Dana,
I'm
yeah, it's just
good.
me and Dana here.
Yep.
All
Hey,
right,
I'm feeling better, Matt.
I accept the motion.
Second.
Third.
Okay. All right, so thank you again for all of your efforts for tonight, and sharing the frustrations. But let's move forward. I think when we get this thing all planned out, and we get a solid way in which we can function more effectively as time goes on, there's some good things that are going to happen. Good things. And I think a couple of ideas were brought up tonight that could give us some direction. So it's all good. Okay, gang, I thank you. And I'll see you sometime in April.
See y'all later.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Bye.
Thanks, Matt. Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, Matt, take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thanks.